y'all, good afternoon. So it is gross outside today. It's raining and like 53 out, which, you know, when I lived in Nashville, I'd take it because like Nashville winters got a lot colder than that and it'd be like 30 and raining, and which is a lot harder to deal with than 53 and raining. But you know, once I've lived here long enough, I'm sure I'll be like 53. Oh, that's so cold. And I'm not making fun of people who think that is cold. I'm saying, like, compared, for me personally, compared to where I lived for a while and the effects it was having on my health, 53 raining in Louisiana is very easy for me to deal with compared to like 0 and snowing and my hands are locked up from arthritis. So, and plus we've had so many really beautiful days that I can't really complain. Like, this is a very, not that y'all can see it, but it's a really small price to pay. So today I am hopefully going to a bakery to pick up Joseph's birthday cake. He doesn't want a big old cake. He wants something smaller. And we're going to get, or I'm going to try to find some Doberge cake. Now, I didn't grow up eating Doberge cake, but Joseph did. And it's basically like layers of stale cake and pudding. And people who like it really, really like it. And maybe I've just not had a good one because I think it's too sweet and I don't really care for it. And it's not the stale cake part that bothers me because I grew up eating French toast, and French toast is usually made from stale bread. It's just like doesn't have a lot of flavor in my opinion. But it's his birthday, so I'm gonna get him a cake that he will enjoy, and hopefully I can share that with you guys because my mom's gonna go with me and she wants to go to Haydell's, but I want to go try Debbie's on the Levee. Suppose they're in Kenner, and supposedly they've got like really great reviews for their Doberge cake, so I wanted to give them a shot. Now, Joseph says Doberge, and up in like Santa Monica, Gonzales, Baton Rouge, I hear a lot of Doberge, but I keep getting corrected by my mom down here that it's Doberge, so I thought I'd throw both out there. Regional dialect is a thing, especially in Louisiana where we have a lot of French loan words. You have a lot of different pronunciations for the same words. That's how you can have New Orleans and have Orleans, right? Like, it's the same word. One is French, the other has been Americanized greatly, and it doesn't make it wrong, it just makes them different pronunciations. That's like peridot and peridot. Both are correct. Regional variations. Why is this the hill I'm gonna die on? It's because I have a couple of friends who are super on it about correcting my pronunciation when it's like you check Google and it's like both are valid, and it's just like, if I could just don't do that. It's like people who correct other people's grammar unnecessarily. Just don't. So I'm kind of waiting for her to be free to go do that because even though, so I don't know how much I've talked about this. I have had driving anxiety for a long time. Basically, I know what started it. I was driving back with a friend from NecoCon, and we were trying to get to the friend's house that we were staying at for a little while, and it was late. It was like, I want to say like 2 or 3 in the morning late. But that's probably how late it was when we got back. Really, we'd been at NecoCon all day. We'd been tabling. We'd been in this convention center that was freezing. We didn't leave until 7. The friend drove for a couple of hours, and they're like, I gotta crash. I gotta go to sleep. I can't do this. So I was gonna drive for a while, and it was really late, and I was really tired, and we were in rural West Virginia, and a deer ran across the road, and I swerved, and I hit a massive road sign, and I feel like my friend would have died if their seat hadn't been reclined fully because the sign crashed through the window. It was terrifying. And in that instance, the cop who came out was actually really, really nice. But it was late at night. I was super scared. My insurance decided they weren't going to cover it because, fun fact, this is when State Farm had an agent in Savannah, and that person was still my agent, who was taking people's payments and not submitting them to State Farm. He was pocketing them. So the guy who I called, I was like, hey, I hit a sign, was like, oh, you're one of those lapsed ones. And I was like, well, I have a bunch of check stubs. What are you going to do about it? So basically, I had to pay out of pocket for the sign, which was really, really, really frustrating. And you know, I never got any money from State Farm for like all the back payments that I paid that guy but I apparently wasn't insured because he wasn't submitting mine and like a bunch of other people's payment information. State Farm never like reimbursed me for that. Nothing ever came of that. That's weird, isn't it? I was like, had just finished grad school, so I didn't have the emotional capacity to get a lawyer and like really chase it. But they'd reinstated my coverage that night, and so I wasn't in any trouble. I just wish, that's so screwy, y'all. Anyway, like now that I'm telling y'all about it, I'm like, that's so fishy. And then it got swept under the rug. But that's not the point. The point is, okay, so then we were at my other friend's house for like a week because we had to wait for my car to get fixed because it was not drivable. And that friend was so hospitable, so kind. Like, he didn't have to let us stay there, but he did. He never complained. He was such a great host. But it was still a rough experience. And then me and the first friend had to drive back to Ohio so I could drop them off. That was like an 8-hour drive. And then I had to drive back to Nashville by myself. And I was so shaken up, I didn't want to drive at all, but I knew I had to get my car back. So Joseph was going to fly and meet me in Ohio. And the friend had actually booked that for me, and they got the date wrong. So surprise, I get to Ohio, and Joseph would not have gotten there until the next day. And the friend was like, you can stay with my family. And I was like, I don't want to stay with your family. Mostly because their dad is kind of mean, sorry. And had made it clear that he didn't want any guests. So I was like, okay. That's fine. So I drove back in the snow for 5 hours, unexpected, exhausted after all that happened. And it just kind of compiled the trauma. And living in Nashville, I didn't really know where anything was. I was super dependent on GPS. And people where I lived in Nashville, which was by Vanderbilt, have huge trucks. And they drive super aggressively, and they don't use turn signals. They don't use any kind of communication. And it's a lot of younger people who are not really equipped to be driving big vehicles, but they are. And I'd actually gotten hit a couple times in Nashville and run off the road a few times in Nashville by super aggressive drivers. So you take someone who learned how to drive at 24, and then you have a fairly benign, no one died, car accident, and then you take like super aggressive drivers. And I mean, it got to the point where if I was driving, I would have a panic attack. So there was a while where Joseph did a lot of driving for me, which I know is a huge pain in his butt because, you know, you don't want to have to drive for a whole nother human being. And then it got to the point where I could do some driving if he rode with me. And now that we're back in Louisiana, and I grew up driving here, like I was 24, but I learned how to drive in this area. I understand how the drivers think. I understand the rationale. I am way better equipped to drive, because you don't have a bunch of young people driving big trucks. You have a bunch of older people driving big trucks, and they still don't use turn signals. But I know my Jetta has really great acceleration, so I'm way less afraid to drive here than I was in Nashville. And so I've been working on my driving anxiety. But when I'm driving in like Metairie or Kenner, and it isn't an area I've driven like a million times, I still like having somebody else riding with me. Just because it's another set of eyes, and people have tried, I drive a Jetta, and people have literally tried to merge on top of me because they couldn't see me. Well, if you can't see a vehicle, you probably shouldn't be driving the vehicle you're in. So, anyway, too many opinions, I know. But it's something I've been working on, but I'm still not 100%. And I'd like to be better about it because we want to have kids, and I want to be able to drive my kids to doctor's appointments. I don't want to have to like get a ride from somebody every time I need to go somewhere. So as long as somebody's riding with me, it doesn't even have to, at this point, it doesn't even have to be another adult. I just need someone who can literally look and check my blind spot for a second, and I'm doing much better with it. But that was something I had to kind of struggle with by myself because I couldn't afford health insurance at the time, so I couldn't afford to go see a doctor about it. So I don't recommend my approach to that. If you are experiencing driving anxiety, I would encourage you to see a doctor about it, because having panic attacks while driving and having to pull over on the side of the road and just cry and shake is not fun. It's not, don't recommend it. So other than that, today I am working on finishing up this painting I started last night. It's almost done. I want to do another layer on the Paul Rubens paint mud test, and I would like to work on those Kara ATCs that I'm doing as an art drop. I'm gonna grab them and show them to you guys. So I mentioned Kara's birthday is on the 11th. Want to do some stuff. We'll see what I can get done. A lot going on this week. Joseph's birthday is the 7th. Obviously, a real human's birthday is more important than a fictional character's birthday. Mardi Gras is the 16th, and it's not like we're doing anything for Mardi Gras, but I did want to do some fun at-home stuff to share with you guys, and Valentine's Day is the 14th, and I just always want to do too much and too many things. So these are some Tanner ATCs. ATC stands for Artist Trading Card. So these are little mini watercolors on hot press watercolor paper. I'm going to pop them in a Ziploc bag and hide them in some little libraries. I also have some Kara birthday ones I'm working on. You guys saw me working on them yesterday. So we have a giant lollipop. Well, not giant, she's tiny. We have like the pretty stereotypical, it's my birthday! We've got a cupcake. And then we've got some paper stars. Oh, they look so weird flipped. You can tell I don't flip my art. And I shared these in my community tab late last night, and there was some interesting conversation about art drops. So apparently a lot of people think art drops is when you paint a rock and you leave it. Art drops predate the whole rock. I mean, rock painting has been a thing for a while, but to my knowledge in this area, art drops predate the current bout of we're gonna paint rocks with Poscas and acrylic pens. And to my knowledge, and based on what I've seen, what I've seen other artists do, and keep in mind this is a very niche group that I belong to. I'm a comic artist after all. Art drops are kind of like geocaching, or can be kind of like geocaching. So you can do it a few different ways. You can leave it in a public sheltered area like a bowling alley or a library, which would be a lot of fun, not during COVID. And that's something I'd like to do. Again, not during COVID. You can leave them outside in like a sealed container if you want to, and leave coordinates and have people seek and find it, hence the geocaching aspect. And I had a couple friends who are into geocaching, and I first became aware of art drops because of geocaching, because sometimes people would leave art, or they'd like get me to leave a mini print, like when I was doing linoleum and intaglio printing. They'd be like, hey, you got a small print? And I'd be like, I guess. Lost track of thought. Sorry. The way I like to do them right now during COVID is I like leaving them in little libraries in St. Charles Parish. I'd like to leave them in the larger Louisiana area as well. I think that's a lot of fun. And part of that is to encourage people to do it as well, to be creative. There's a lot of creative people here who have been kind of trained to think they're not creative. Also to kind of normalize cartooning art, because Louisiana in general has very specific ideas of what art looks like, and comics ain't it. It's getting better, but for the longest time, comics ain't it. So I'm trying to just kind of normalize that. And I also want to normalize just people making art and sharing art for fun, not because they think they're the best artist in the world or anything like that. And the best way I know how to do that is through the art drops. Sometimes I'll leave copies of 7-inch Kara. That does get expensive. I'm paying for those out of pocket, so it has to be a special occasion thing. So often I like to do like mini comic art drops. Sometimes I'll put together coloring packs where there's coloring sheets and crayons and a mini comic. And I also like leaving original art drops. So I try to vary what I'm leaving, and I also try to not ever leave like a huge thing, because none of the little libraries around here are that big. I'd love to start leaving art supplies, like stuff that I reviewed and it was okay, but I'm not going to use it. I think that would be a lot of fun too. But again, those little libraries don't have a lot of space. When Joseph and I have our own house and I can have my own little library, you better believe it's going to be full of art supplies for people. I also like to post hints. If if you've been to, there's not that many little libraries, and if you've been to any of them, you're gonna know, okay? It's not like super secret, it's pretty basic, and I try to include visual clues in the little short videos that I share of where I'm dropping stuff. But I like to do that because I like to think a parent and kid or a guardian and kid could do that in an afternoon, and the parent could read the clues to the kid and the kid could figure it out. You know, like, let's talk about, let's say the East Bank Bridge Park, which some of you guys know what I'm talking about, a lot of y'all don't. It is right by the Mississippi River. The Hale Boggs Bridge, which is kind of like the icon for St. Charles Parish, is right, it's like right off the bridge. So there's two bridge parks, the West Bank and the East Bank. There's a race car track, not a race car, our little remote control RC car track. There's baseball courts, there's basketball court. So if I'm talking about that little library, I would say by the river, on the East Bank, by the racetrack. And there's, you know, in the video, there's like a shot of the little library, and I try to pan and show the bridge. So anybody from this area, hopefully, if they've been around at all, will know from those clues it's supposed to be the East Bank Bridge Park. I'm not trying to make it like I'm not trying to make it like adult level difficult. I'm trying to make it like an activity people could do with their kids during COVID that's fairly safe. I know people around here are taking all kinds of risks. They're going to church and not wearing masks, and they're playing baseball, and I mean like team little league baseball. And I'm not going to judge you for your risks, but I also know there are parents out there who are homeschooling right now, and they are super duper trying to keep their kids at home. So I wanted something that a kid in that situation, or a kid whose family is playing t-ball, would be able to still enjoy, you know, something that's a little more egalitarian. So, because I'm not trying to punish anybody, I'm just trying to come up with stuff. Like, I think it'd be a real bummer to like share an art drop, right, and drop it off at the public library, which under normal circumstances is a wonderful idea, and I think it's really cute. But some of the kids I teach in the Zoom class I do, they're not even going to the library right now. So like, I think it would be a bummer for them to check out to like look on my Instagram and see me promoting this thing that they can't do because their mom and dad don't think it's safe right now. So I also, it's to me, communicating and being able to form relationships and being able to have this communication with people using my art is really important to me. And COVID makes that very difficult, because for me, online, just doesn't do the same thing for me. So the art drops theoretically are a way for me to create that connection. I always encourage people to like message me if you find it. Sometimes people do. I love it when they do. Usually they don't. That's kind of a bummer, because I'd love to know it was found, but I've never, like, I try to do it like once a week, and I've never found my stuff still in the box. If I started finding my stuff still in the box, I might have to like either reconsider doing it at all, or how often I'm doing it, or the clues I'm giving. I'd have to rethink it, because like, I don't want it to see my stuff a week later. I want it to find a home, and I don't expect anything out of it. Now, I do include some postcards that, you know, have 7-inch carat information on it, which you can read as a webcomic. And I do have like my business card in there, but I don't ever like try to push anything. I'm not really trying to sell anything with this. I'm just doing it to hopefully make connections, because I do teach under non-COVID circumstances. I do teach free classes through the library. So, and I do share a lot of my work for free. So I'm not trying to push something that's behind a paywall. I'm just trying to make connections with people, but also trying to start forming a life for myself here under circumstances that are very difficult. So I've really been enjoying doing the art drops. They're a fun hobby. They make me feel good doing them. I think they're a lot of fun, and that's great because I don't keep up with hobbies. I tend to like dump them all for the one ring, the one thing I do. So yeah, that's fun for me. Anyway, I was going to do a stream this week. Today, I'm probably not going to do it. I also didn't promote it, so I don't feel bad. I do plan on doing these soon though. So last year I did a bunch of how to draw flower videos. I think I did 18 of them. And so what I thought would be neat to do for Fridays that doesn't require like a boatload of prep on my part, and it also allows me to utilize things I've already created, because I think I also scanned these, but I'll scan them again just to make sure, is just do one every Friday. And that way it shouldn't take longer than a couple of hours, even if the weather's not great. And I can provide the line art so that people can just color if they just want to color, or they can practice drawing them because the how to draw videos are already online. But I don't think I'm going to do that until after I get past the like Joseph birthday, Kara birthday thing, because I've just got a lot on my plate and I don't really want to like pile another thing on, because I do have a tendency to burn out pretty easily, and really not looking to get burnt out. Last week I was dealing with a health issue and burnout at the same time, and it just made everything hit harder than I'm used to, and I could deal with it, but it does take an emotional toll. So sorry about all the like connective words, the so's, the uhs, the ums. I'm like trying to connect my thoughts and trying to have a somewhat cohesive vlog as someone with ADHD who sometimes my brain just goes all over the place. Anyway, I think I'm gonna get back to work. I think it would be fun to vlog on top of time lapse, but I edit with this phone, and this phone does not let me narrate on top of a video. I don't know why. I'm still open to video editing suggestions, and I downloaded DaVinci Resolve, and I downloaded Sony Vega. We bought it during a Humble Bundle, and I need to play with it more. But I've mentioned this in other videos. One of the perks of editing on a phone is I can do it in the car, I can do it on the sofa, I can do it in the bathtub, I can do it in bed. I'm not tied to a computer. So that's also why I bought a new phone this year, was so that I would have better video quality and larger capacity, and I thought better editing. And it's still a Samsung, and somehow it's worse than the editing software on the S7. And not just because I'm more familiar with the S7, but the S20's editing software basically, in my opinion, treats you like you're an idiot. It doesn't let you do anything more nuanced, which to me, I like it when editing software is like, here's an easy way to do it, and then if you want to, you can do it more granularly. And the current software doesn't. So that's why I'm looking for suggestions, because I've had so many problems with paid editing phone software just still leaving the toast, or like crashing, or like I'm paying a monthly subscription but it doesn't connect and it doesn't talk to the server, so I don't get any of the pro features. So that's why I'm asking for suggestions from you guys, because sometimes the reviews will be like, it's great, but that person hasn't, I guess they don't have the same problems I'm having, or maybe they haven't used it long enough, or maybe they were sent it to review and they're not having the connectivity issues that I had. I don't really know, but I've definitely had like editing software hiccups, so I'm open to suggestions. All right, y'all, let's get to work. we're here to see if we can get a Doberge cake for Joseph. Okay guys, I didn't show you the inside of Debbie's because it's kind of tight in there, but the salespeople are super sweet. They have cute art on the walls, so I left my business card because why not? And also the lady who checked me out liked my Totoro sweater, so I might have found a kindred spirit. They were out of chocolate Doberge, but we got Rainbow Surprise, which is like almond flavor, and I'm just not gonna say, it's white on the outside, so I'm not gonna say anything about what the inside looks like until we cut it. So hopefully I did good. It's a 6-inch cake, but I can probably bring you some since you said you love
chocolate.
They didn't have any more chocolate, but almond's pretty good.
Yeah,
I have never had any that I liked, but I might like this one. I think I just am not, I think it's too sweet. So I'll let you guys know whether or not that cake's good, but the shop is super cute. It's like cocktails and pastries, and it's like, what is this? Rivertown. So for me, it's like 10-minute drive.
I mean, is it like a block away from
Storyville?
No, that street. The street that what is it? Williams?
Yes.
Block from
yeah.
Williams.
It's like 2.
Okay.
From Williams.
Whatever, I gotta call up.
But it's right there. So sounds good. Okay guys, so it is a wet, nasty day. It's been wet, nasty all afternoon. We went to Debbie's on the Levee, which is like Debbie Does Doberge, to purchase a birthday cake for Joseph. He knows I went to buy him a cake. Neat little shop. Sorry, trying to organize my thoughts because on the one hand, I was hoping it would be like a full bakery that also had like bread and other types of baked goods, and they have a lot of cake and petit fours and scones and biscuits and cocktails, but not necessarily baked goods. So we drove out to Kenner to go to Debbie Does Doberge, or Debbie on the Levee, and that wasn't too far. And then I drove all the way back along River Road and hit the market on River Road, which I've never been to before. I didn't show you guys any footage. It's a real cute little market, and they have a really nice fresh section, and they just seem to have a better selection than Norco Fresh, which is the super local market that we usually go to. I gotta tell you guys, driving in the wet and the dark is, as many of you probably know, really pretty taxing. It's so hard to see anything, and even though I was wearing my glasses, everything was starburst and all over the place. So even though it's almost 8 and it is kind of late, I'm feeling pretty pooped just from driving. And then we went by Walmart because I wanted to buy some cardstock because I want to print some bookmarks to go in the art drops for Kira's birthday. And then we went to Dollar Tree because Mom was really hyping up the fact that their craft section has grown. It hasn't necessarily grown, but they have like little mini craft sections. Like they had Valentine's crafts and they had Easter crafts out. And they just keep it, compared to the rest of that Dollar Tree, they keep the craft section pretty well organized. You guys can see from some of those shots. So I picked up some fabric paints and some glue and some rhinestones for Tuesday's Mardi Gras mask stream. So, and then I had to drive all the way back across the river. So we're going to have some boudin bread that I picked up at the Fresh Market for dinner. I'm starving and it looks super good. I don't know that I've ever had boudin bread, but it looks like a little roll, and it's covered in like nacho cheese, but I'm a sucker for spicy nacho cheese, and it's got bacon, and it's got jalapenos, and it looks like it's gonna be super tasty. They did not have any warming it up instructions, so I popped it in the oven, and hopefully it turns out super good. Spent a lot of time running the road. That's always life in Louisiana, is anytime you want to go somewhere, it does take a while to get there. especially if you're going down River Road, which is picturesque, but a long drive. And living along River Road, we drive along River Road a lot. One of these days, I'd like to find a way to take you guys, maybe when COVID isn't such a concern, I'd like to take you guys on a tour down River Road, because there's a lot of neat historic spots and a lot of cool places to eat. Particularly in Rivertown, which is like the historic part of Kenner. I really like Rivertown. If we weren't planning on having kids, I would want to live in Rivertown. But the schools there are not great, and I really don't want to do private schools unless we have to. So just trying to think strategically, think ahead. So tonight, I'm going to eat me some dinner. Still got to finish that watercolor illustration. And then I was hoping to work on those ATC cards. So we'll see. We'll see. It's probably not going to happen. But I need to do it sooner rather than later. And I think that's it for the evening. So obviously no stream because it just took too long driving back and forth. But I'm excited about that cake. That's a pretty, I haven't shown you guys that cake, but that's a pretty cake. And they didn't have any more chocolate, but it's rainbow on the inside, which sounds really cute. No one would ever buy me a rainbow cake, and I would like a rainbow cake, but Joseph's gonna get a rainbow cake, and he doesn't know yet. I'm kind of hoping it'll be like a fun surprise, because I imagine you cut into it, and it's like all these pretty bright colors. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Anyway, I'm gonna just try to get cracking on this evening, and maybe I'll check in with you guys with what them boudin balls taste like. Boudin bread, y'all, not boudin balls. I had boudin balls last night. Because Zapp's makes some pretty good, well, some other company does it, but they're using the Zapp's name. And they make these little boudin balls that you warm up in the oven, and those are really good. Alright, so this is the boudin bread. They did have some larger ones. I think these are the individual serving sizes. I don't know if the boudin's in the center, if it's baked throughout. You can see there's like green onions and jalapenos, and I only do that because Peggy Hill does it. And like nacho cheese. And there's Joseph going at it with a fork and a knife. How is it?
Alright.
It's alright. I got it from the market on River Road. Have you ever had boudin bread before? I may not have warmed it up all the way through.
Not quite.
Oh! Oh, this thing's stuffed solid. So, there's not a good way to...
Huh. I haven't gotten any.
So, boudin is a sausage made with like a lot of rice in it. It's good, spicy. But we would like some.
Is the camera on?
Yeah, on me though, not on you. It reminds me of like Asian buns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a Cajun bun. It's pretty good though. I bet they're great fresh hot. When they poured.
Was it hot when you got it?
Mm-mm. It's in there. I would have just eaten it. It's in the refrigerator section. They're pretty good though. Yeah, if you've never had a boudin bun or boudin bread, I would recommend you try it. It's pretty good. Would you try it again? They had big ones too.
I mean, I've just gotten a tiny bit of boudin.
Look how much boudin I got.
Okay.
So much.
I think it's all in one section, and I started from the opposite end.
Oh, maybe so. y'all. Good afternoon. It is not morning. I feel like I got kind of hit by a bus. Asthma problems, just generally tired. So it's like 3:04. I got up at 1, but I don't usually beat myself up over it because I typically go work, like am painting until midnight or later. So, you know, you gotta pay for it somehow. Today I am hoping to finish up these ATCs for Kara's birthday. I'm also hoping to put the finishing touches on this, and I'm hoping to put the finishing touches on the Rubens Watercolor Unbox and Swatch. I am just about ready to start the field test for this once I get those other things wrapped up, but I may take a break and do the Kara Valentine's I've been kind of thinking about. It really kind of depends on my energy level. When I start to feel kind of sick like this, it gets harder to justify pushing myself because I just don't have the energy. I don't think I'm sick. The weather changed, and I just kind of pushed myself hard yesterday. And whenever the weather changes, whenever it gets colder again, my asthma flares up. So I would like to think just kind of taking it easy would help me recuperate. I mean, most people do take a day or two off per week. The only reason I don't is I get really bored. So I end up doing work anyway, which isn't healthy. If we weren't kind of stuck at home due to a pandemic, I would be pushing to go out to the zoo or go to the aquarium or go to the French market or go to the farmer's market or go more often to the botanical garden or just do things, you know, because living in Nashville, there were things to do and we sometimes did things, but I really missed a lot of the things that I loved about Louisiana. And so it'd be nice to like actually be able to go out and do those things. It's kind of hard moving back to a place you love in the middle of a pandemic, and you know, all of the things you used to love are not accessible to you. And I know I'm not the only person dealing with this, so I'm not pretending like, oh, my life is so hard. I'm just one person dealing with it. And truly, my heart goes out to people who have kiddos, and y'all have to either homeschool them, distance learning school them, send them off to school, or some combination of the above. And then you have to find stuff to do with them. I mean, down here, people are still doing like rec ball, which, if it were my kid, they wouldn't be doing rec ball this year. That's all I can say. Which is a shame because I know kids with like ADHD do need additional outlets. So I know it is really hard this year for parents who have kids with those kind of disabilities. As someone with ADHD, it's hard for me. So I can only imagine how much harder it is for a kid and how heartbreaking it is, because we've not only lost 1 year now, we're working on losing the second year. My heart just genuinely goes out to you guys. I mean, my childhood had its own unique struggles. We had Columbine, which drastically changed how American education treats kids and teenagers. It was never the same after that. We also had 9/11, which not only drastically changes how America does a lot of things, including travel, but it was an excuse for my high school to crack down even more on eliminating personal freedoms from its student population. So I know that affected my childhood, so I can only imagine how much this is affecting y'all's childhood. All I can hope is this is an opportunity for parents to spend more time with their kids who might not otherwise have been able to do that. That's the only kind of shining light I have regarding kids and school in the pandemic. Not that I am pretending to be an expert by any means, but I do teach Zoom class. I know, not even the same. And I do talk to the kids in the Zoom classes about what's going on in their lives and stuff. So I have a smidgen of an idea, and some of my friends are parents. I have a smidgen of an idea of how difficult this is without fully understanding it at all. I understand. So I kind of would like to go to the Asian market today and pick up some groceries. I don't want to go by myself. I don't think Joseph wants to go. Otherwise, I guess we're just going to spend another day at home. I know, right? So such a bummer. But I don't know. I'm definitely tired of painting. maybe I'll do some needle felting later today, or maybe we'll end up finding some sort of fun. If the weather was nicer, it's not raining today, it's just gray and overcast. If it was nice and warm, I would say, well, maybe we can go to a park and walk around, but feeling like I can't breathe does not make me want to go exercise. That's for sure. And then people who don't have asthma are always pushing me like, you should exercise more, it'll help your asthma. And it's like, no, I'll just have asthma while exercising. Yes, I should exercise more, but it doesn't help my asthma. I was really active as a kid and I still had asthma. Anyway, so I guess I'm just gonna start. I never know how to transition. It would be easier if I could like voice over the stuff, because then it's like a seamless transition, and I cannot on this phone, as I've mentioned before. But like figuring out how to do these vlogs, it's been a learning process. I've improved some things. There's some areas I still really need to improve. I will be blunt with you guys. If I have to edit every one of these vlogs on a computer, I'm just not going to do vlogs. Sorry if that's disappointing to you. Because like I mentioned yesterday, the beauty of it is I can edit them from my phone anywhere, so it's not like I'm shackled to a computer to do this. All right, let's get painting. We got stuff to do. Let's get painting, huh? So I really like Golden City Asian Food Market. It's not as good, in my opinion, as the Japanese food market that used to be on Williams, but it has a really good selection. It's bigger than the one on Williams. It probably is better than the one on Williams, and I'm probably just being nostalgic for a thing that's long gone. It does not have a ramen shop attached, but it does have a butcher section. So, I mentioned this in like several of the vlogs that if you live in the area, you should go by there and check it out. I have not bought any of the seafood from there, but that's mainly because when you live in Southeast Louisiana, you are spoiled for fresh seafood. So, no joke, you can buy shrimp and oysters on the side of the road during the right season. Or if you know somebody, they'll go out and they'll bring you some. So I finished up those ATCs. Next, I'm going to clean my desk and work on finishing up the Paul Rubens test. All that's really left for it is just, you know, some end cap footage. So that shouldn't take too long. And then I'm going to work on that Marie's Chinese watercolor painting that is almost finished as well. I guess tonight's a night of like just kind of wrapping things up, which is good. It's good to have those. And then I've got some bookmarks that I printed out that I want to cut out for my little art drop bags as well. So making progress. Tonight I might end up penciling something or maybe painting something. We'll see kind of how I feel. Just not a whole lot going on this week. Postcards came in. Need to get those sent. Well, need to get the charms done so I can send them out together, and that'll finish out a lot of people's. That still leaves the little Lilliputian sketches, haven't forgotten, I promise, and the custom sketches, the Kara and Naomi or Kara and Tanner sketches. So I'm putting this out there. I got a bunch of surveys in this week. Thank you so much. If you still haven't filled out your survey and you still haven't filled out or gotten your book, or if you just haven't gotten your book, please check and make sure you filled out the survey. If you haven't filled out the survey, fill out your survey. And if you did fill out the survey and it is your correct address and you haven't gotten your book, please message me, email me, let me know you haven't gotten your book, and we'll get to the bottom of it. For those of you who didn't back the Kickstarter, I'm sorry if it seems like I'm nagging. If you ever do your own Kickstarter, though, you'll find that getting people to remember to fill out their surveys is a hard task. And I'm guilty of it too, because I backed a bunch of Kickstarters and then I forgot to fill out the survey. And it is super duper easy. Like, you can do it from your phone. If you haven't moved, it is literally like, is this info correct? Yes, done. I don't know why it was so hard for me for so long. but it's super easy to fill them out. Postcards, Mardi Gras packs. Ooh, Joseph started running the ads on the Mardi Gras packs. I do need to update the shop with a pack that doesn't include the books for Kickstarter backers who like the mini print. And can't really think of anything. I'm sorry. That popping noise is Joseph doing popcorn on the stove, in case you can hear it. I'm never sure what gets picked up until I'm screening videos later, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, nope, they couldn't hear that anyway. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, that lawnmower is super loud. No. What are my plans for next week? Well, Joseph's birthday is on Monday, and we have a Doberge cake for him. And then on Tuesday, we're doing the Mardi Gras mask stream. So, I wish I could tell you guys like an exact time, because I like knowing an exact time, but when you're relying on other people to show up too, you kind of roll when they're ready to roll. So at least we can get a date set, right? And then for the rest of next week, probably working on charms. I've been wanting to work on some new avatars, because the avatar I have has been my avatar for like 4 years, and while I really like it, I think I'm growing my hair out. I want to cut my bangs again because they look awful, but I haven't had long hair or even shoulder length hair in a really long time. So I figured, you know, I'm not doing any shows, might as well grow it out and see if I like it. And if I don't have a problem cutting it all off. And Mardi Gras and Valentine's Day and Kara's birthday are all coming up, so busy. Need to do the Valentines. Trying not to feel overwhelmed. So let's relax for the rest of this evening and just kind of paint and finish some stuff off. And I haven't been recording sign outs for each day. Do you guys like sign outs? Does it matter to you? Give me some feedback about. So it was suggested to me that I watch more vlogs, and I do actually watch a lot of vlogs, but not typically art vlogs. I typically watch like travel or daily life or like craft vlogs, and those are handled sometimes a little differently. And I also want to find like a unique voice, and I want to find what works. So that's kind of what this has been like. I know it's been kind of rough, but it's me trying to figure out how I want to do it, especially with the materials I have. And I also don't want it to be in lieu of my normal kind of content. Although I am taking y'all's suggestion and cutting back on the amount of content, because yeah, it is a lot. I was just trying to clear my backlog so it didn't get totally out of date. But I agree with you, it is a lot, and I definitely think paring back is better for me and better for the channel. So y'all talk to me, I do listen. So anyway, for this last video of the, I know it breaks the immersion, doesn't it? I gotta figure out a better way to refer to these vlogs. Even just calling them like star date entries is better than videos. For this entry, for today's vlog entry, that's better. That's better. Better than video. For this vlog entry, I'm not going to do an end cap, but I might start playing around with doing end caps next week. The problem with end caps is I usually end my day at 1 and I'm just fried and I just want to go take a bath. Like, I don't feel like recapping my day necessarily. And I will usually like kind of recap it the next day, kind of, sort of. So still figuring stuff out. Anyway, I was going to like be cleaning all this mess up while talking to y'all, and then I just ended up talking to y'all. Oh, somebody commented on the screensaver in the background, suggested that it should be my art. You are right. It is actually photos from the Japan trip in 2018. So these are photos that either me or Joseph took. So they are, in a way, our art. And I like looking at them because you get a lot of greenery and there's a lot of happy memories in there. And we were supposed to go to Japan for our honeymoon and COVID. So it's just kind of like a nice way to remember a really nice trip and to kind of look forward to future nice trips. But, and delicious food. Yes, a good idea. Oh, another thing regarding the backdrop. So I bought a big foam core, and I'm going to put my art and art that friends have sent me up on it, because I 100% agree. Just looking at blank walls is very impersonal. And with the foam core, I can just kind of balance it or maybe gently tape it up, and that way I'm not violating my lease, but we do actually have something to actually look at. So always just kind of trying to figure out ways to make it better while working with what I got. Anyway, let's clean up and get to painting, huh? Alright guys, so that is the end of the first week in February. Hey Jozo, what's next week?
My birthday week? I don't know what you're referring to. The Super Bowl week?
Superb Owl? I refuse to acknowledge. I want to say the dog football game, but I would acknowledge a dog football game. What else is next week?
The Cara cake.
Is it made of carrots? Carrot
No,
cake?
It's made of white
Tiny
birthday
people?
cake.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I guess like Valentine's and Mardi Gras is the week after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Valentine's Day is the Monday after. No.
It's a week after your birthday because you're born on the 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, see you guys next week then.